Hey everyone. I just wanted to say hello and look, we are sliding into the end of the year super fast. It is happening like at lightning speed. So, anyway, we're going to be hitting the new year pretty soon, and I wanted to talk about getting a head start on your 2020 goals, using this time in between now that the holidays are behind us to really kind of get prepared for what your goals are and what you want the year ahead to be like. So I posted some ideas on my blog earlier today, just some things off the top of my head to maybe help you get started and to help you, kind of get in the right mindset to start, getting ready to hit the new year hard, because it's going to be so exciting when you think about all the positive changes you can make within a year. And look, it is absolutely amazing what you can accomplish in a year. It's amazing what you can accomplish in a day or in a week or in a month even, but in an entire year. So I love that whole fresh start feeling. It gets me really like geared up and super excited. And I'm still enjoying the holidays, as you can tell. I still have my holiday mug, naughty but nice. I'm still having my peppermint chocolate chips. Oh my gosh, those are amazing. So we're all still kind of in holiday mode, which is good. But at the same time, it is also it's also this space that we need to be really getting prepared for what we want to be like and how we want to change, what changes we want to make, what we want to do differently in the year ahead, etc. So, hi Suzanne and hi Deborah. It's good to see you guys here live. I will say real quick too, the official 2020 Keto Challenge is going to kick off on Friday, January the 3rd. And I wanted to give a little bit of space and time after the holidays, and also for me, it helps me to do weigh-ins on Fridays. A lot of times we've had weigh-ins on Mondays throughout some of our challenges, and sometimes that's a little bit, stressful for people, but I think it's a good accountability factor to power through the weekends and things like that. So it all just kind of depends, but that's the official news, and I will get you guys details. So make sure you are subscribed at 90daylowcarbchallenge.com or travelinglowcarb.com, which is where I posted the blog post today about kicking off our kind of year-end mini challenge about getting prepared for our goals for the new year. So I want to, I said, and I promised that I would show you guys how this thing works and test some chocolates for you while we're here live. So I'll do that in just a second. I just washed my hands, so I don't want to touch anything, because that's part of my clean testing ritual is I disinfect my hands and I do all kinds of stuff. I also eat a lot of eggs when I'm testing products for you guys. And 3 people today and yesterday combined, 3 people asked me, aren't you sick of eggs? And the truth is, yes, I'm sick of eggs. But when I test a product for you guys, I have to prepare my body. Metabolically speaking, I have to be in the right state to test my blood sugar and test my ketone levels for you guys. So it's important that I do these food tests. If you want to know, is this really an okay food? Is that ingredient really keto, et cetera, et cetera? I have to make sure that I'm not in a stressful state. I have to make sure I'm sleeping properly, because all of those different things are factors that affect your metabolic health and your ketone levels and your blood sugar levels and things like that. So it has to be an ideal week for me. And then on the top of that, I have to do 6 days of clean eating, which for me means very simple meals, usually mono meals and whole foods. So a lot of times I'll do cheesy eggs. That'll be maybe my main meal for the day. The other day I went to Red Lobster and I skipped the vegetables because, as you guys know, I had gut health issues. And while I can eat vegetables now in certain quantities, I didn't want there to be any question in my mind of whether I had a flare-up because of the vegetables I ate or if I had a flare-up because of the chocolate I tested for you guys. So I am extremely meticulous when I do testing for you, to the point that I would have really liked to have had loaded broccoli plus grilled asparagus. But if I had double greens with my gut health issues and then I had a flare-up, I might have blamed the chocolate. and I might have not known for sure if it was one or the other. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's a problem that I see a lot. I actually do see it a lot. Not I think it is. It is a problem I see a lot. But I see people guessing, like, oh, I'll just go dairy free, or I'll go gluten free, or I'll do this or that. Listen, testing over guessing. You want to enjoy the widest variety of foods. You want to live the fullest life. You want to have the absolute most enjoyment in your everyday life that's possible. So instead of the keto diet is not meant to become more and more and more restrictive. So whereas we started out eating as much as we possibly wanted and all the fat under the sun, and now all of a sudden everyone's starving themselves and going carnivore and only eating meat only. Like it's not meant to be more and more and more restrictive as you go. It's meant to get you in a very good, healthy state, in a very good your metabolic health. You repair your body through eating a ketogenic low carb diet. And once you repair your body and you change, and this is an amazing thing for me. So for example, for the first 8 years that I was eating low carb, I would be on and off and I wasn't super consistent and things like that or whatever. The first, let's say 6 or 7 years. And I had reasons, I had things come up. I had deaths, grief, surgeries, recoveries. Like I had things, life happened, and we all have our reasons, right? However, I went consistent and I got real serious about, gut health and overall health, not just weight loss. And all of a sudden my body metabolically changed and I am now able to eat sweet potatoes and sweet potato fries for the first time in almost 9 years, you guys. Not because you want to cut more and more stuff out, but because you want to get your body to a place where you can add things in and test them very carefully and determine how can I maintain my weight loss, but also for me it's important to maintain nutritional ketosis to stay out of chronic pain. So if you're epileptic, diabetic, you have inflammatory arthritis, any of those health issues that require you to maintain a certain metabolic state, then it's nice to find, hey, I can eat, ChocZero coconut bark, and I can eat sweet potatoes, not every day, obviously, but once in a while, like it's on the menu that they'll have a baked sweet potato, and that's such a nice treat when I know it's not going to knock me out of ketosis. A year ago, it did knock me out of ketosis. A year ago, Domino's wings, plain wings, no sauce, knocked me out of ketosis. They weren't breaded, but they were apparently marinated in something, and I did a blog post about that. And so it's important to get to know your body and expand your variety and enjoy your life. And it's not meant to be a diet. And that was one of the things I said in my blog post that I sent out this morning. And I hope you guys had a chance to read it. If you didn't, it's on my blog at travelinglowcarb.com. But one of the things that I said on my blog was that I wanted you to, I'm looking here to see if I can remember how I said it, focus on the goal instead of focusing on the diet. Because dieting sucks. Just like being honest with you. It's not fun. Mark said, I never thought about you having to do all of that. Yes. And in full disclosure, I don't mind to tell you that when companies come to me and they say, hey, will you tell all of your friends about our amazing new bar that we made or whatever, I don't do that for free. And the reason is because it takes a lot of work. It takes me 6 days. I actually have to prep my body in all the ways I just said. I have to be in a certain metabolic state. I have to eat nothing but eggs and beef and pecans, plain foods for 3 days, at least 72 hours. That's how long it takes to fully metabolize anything you've eaten. So anything I ate before that, I don't want to dilute the results. And then for 72 hours after I test the food, I also eat super clean in case I break out in hives or I have a digestive issue or something comes up. I need to know for sure it was from that product, not from something I ate the next day or right after that, because I was like, oh, it tested fine. You know what I mean? Tamara said, I love that. Focus on the goal, not the diet. Yes, I want you to stop dieting. And while most people in the keto community are going to tell you that you need to start cutting out more stuff, you need to start fasting longer and starving yourself, you need to stop eating vegetables, you need to restrict yourself to this window of eating like once a day. Come on, you guys. Honestly, I was on the phone with a friend. I say a friend, she's a business peer, and I'm going to be speaking at her event. It's a ketogenic event. And anyway, so I was on the phone with her, and we were chatting as friends, and she was making dinner, and she's working with a trainer. So I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, but I was blown away at what this trainer had her doing and not doing, and eating and not eating. Like, he had her like fasting on and off certain days, like fast and feast, and that's getting really popular too. He had her having some, like shake on the days she was fasting, or the days she was intermittent fasting. She only had this one shake, and she told me what was in it, and I was just like, are you hungry? And she said, I'm famished. I'm like, stop dieting. I'm like, you should never be hungry on a keto diet, ever. I mean, ever. Unless, there are days I don't have an appetite. That's not the same as not being hungry. I mean, it's not about feeling deprived. It's not about doing without. It's not about those things. And for me, having blueberry muffins that are keto friendly, that do not knock me out of ketosis, that are a good recipe with really good healthy ingredients like almond flour, almond butter, cashew butter, whatever, eggs, lots of eggs in there, all good healthy ingredients, but I still get to eat blueberry muffins. And I put organic frozen blueberries in there. I'm getting the antioxidants from those. They're very low carb in the amount that I make them in, or put them in the recipe. And I get to eat blueberry muffins. I get to eat chocolate cookies. I get to eat snickerdoodle pancakes. I get to eat grilled cheeses because I can make loaf bread. That's actually good, And so I just wanted to say that it's not about restricting yourself further and further. And I don't want you to feel like that you have to go down that rabbit hole where you're getting further away from what a ketogenic low-carb diet is really all about, which is your metabolic health, not what everybody tells you you have to be doing or you should be doing, or don't do this or it's going to kill you or whatever. Karen said, that's what I've been amazed about, that I'm not hungry. I feel good and it doesn't feel like I'm on a diet. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it feels so good. So that's a good thing. That's a wonderful thing. So I was on the phone with my friend, and her coach, her trainer, is starving her. I'm like, I feel like I should turn this person in for, adult abuse. I'm joking a little bit, but I mean, you guys, really, And so anyway, she was making some dinner, and I suggested she make the salmon of the things that she was having or whatever. She was making some salmon, and she said, she was telling me earlier on this shake that she makes. Some days she puts these frozen cubes of avocado. They make avocado in the freezer section now. I have got to get some of that because I can never pick the right avocado, right? Anyway, so they make it and I love frozen foods because they are actually fresher than the foods you get in the produce section. By the time it gets from the farm, down the road, to the grocery store, in the produce section, and you go get it right then and bring it home, what's frozen is flash frozen at its freshest state. And then it stays that way. So they actually did the scientific study, and I love scientific studies. I'm very science, like the food science geeks me out. They did this scientific study that frozen blueberries, 6 months in the freezer, have more antioxidants and nutrients than fresh blueberries you pick up at the produce section or at the farmer's market today, in season. And it is because the amount of time it takes to get it from farm to table. And you can go fast from farm to table, you can, but you cannot beat that flash frozen at its best state. And 6 months later in the freezer, they have more nutrients and antioxidants. Vegetables, flash frozen squash, there's broccoli, there's organic blueberries, all that kind of stuff. And you don't waste. One of the things I have a problem with fresh foods going bad before I can cook them. I don't ever know when I'm going to get to be in the kitchen because my schedule's crazy and hectic. I do not like to throw away good, healthy food. Mark said, do you have a special bread? I have a bread that I make, and I don't cook. So to tell you that this recipe is easy is an understatement. And I can give you the recipe, and I'll put a link to it there. But I have a bread I make out of macadamia nut butter. And you can make macadamia nut butter yourself. Now, I'm not that savvy in the kitchen. One time I tried to make macadamia nut butter, and I used a coffee grinder. And I was actually not trying to make macadamia nut butter. I was trying to make like macadamia flour because I was going to crust some fish. I had some tilapia or something. And I thought I had these, what do you call those, from Legendary Foods. They used to have wasabi macadamia nuts. So I don't have all the fancy kitchen equipment you guys have. So I had a coffee grinder. So I threw my wasabi macadamia nuts in the coffee grinder, like the coffee bean grinder, thinking I was going to end up with like a crumbly, kind of like almond flour that I could maybe mix with a little bit of Parmesan and coat my fish and bake it. No, I ended up with wasabi macadamia nut butter. So I can accidentally make it. And my coffee never tasted the same again. It was a disaster. Anyway, you can make your own macadamia nut butter. I buy it, but my recipe is just whole food, real ingredients. Macadamia nut butter or cashew nut butter, any of that you can make yourself. And then it's eggs and a little bit of almond flour. I don't use recipes that have a lot of almond flour, so my recipe calls for just 1/4 cup. So it's mostly eggs, nut butter, and things like that. Anyway, I'm super simple with my foods, but yet I still enjoy the widest variety of, good foods to have. So, for Laria, did I pronounce your name right? That's such a beautiful name. Said, thanks, this is great information. So I want you guys, Mark said I almost grabbed a big bag of frozen blueberries a couple hours ago. Go grab them. Yeah. And Sharon said, good question. I was looking at ChocZero. Is that a bread? It has wheat, fiber, and starch. Is that okay? Let's talk about that. That's a good question. I'm so glad you guys are here and asking your questions, because this is an Ask Me Anything session, live Q&A, you can bring up anything. So ingredients and foods are not keto or not keto. So around in the Facebook groups and on Instagram and on Twitter especially, they're so nice there, they will say that's not keto. Why? Because of this ingredient or because of that ingredient or what have you. In fact, ChocZero, this has been the top question I have been answering in private messages all week, has something called soluble corn fiber. And we're going to talk about that. I'm actually going to do a detailed blog post about that, but we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. Anyway, foods and ingredients are not keto. They're just foods. They're just ingredients. Keto is short for ketosis, which is a metabolic state. So if a food knocks you out of ketosis, then it is not keto for you or an ingredient in that food. If that food, like for example, a sweet potato doesn't knock me out of ketosis, sweet potatoes are keto for me, but they may knock you out of ketosis. So that's the important thing, testing over guessing. But it has nothing to do with the actual food or the actual ingredient unless we're talking about, let's say, sugar or, like corn or flour or something like that. So good questions coming in. Carrie says, what's the biggest difference between keto and low carb? So great question. Low carb can be defined as anything under 100 carbs a day. So 100 carbs a day or less is considered low carb, right? So keto is low carb, but low carb is capped at about 100 carbs per day. Keto is when you eat so low carb that your body is in ketosis. So when you just eat low carb, which could be 50 carbs a day, 70 carbs a day, 100 carbs a day, you may not achieve a state of ketosis. When you're in ketosis, you have amazing energy, you lose weight faster, your body burns fat that you eat and then also burns your body fat and goes into fat burning mode. You have less inflammation, less chronic pain. It corrects things like type 2 diabetes. I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you from the documents. It corrects for me inflammatory arthritis, chronic pain. I've written my story. If you haven't read my story about how I went from pain medication, physical therapy, and bed rest to water skiing and rock climbing via keto, I want to read your story, and I'll come back and give you the link to that blog post because it was an amazing transformation. Forget the 70-something, pounds that I've lost and the fact that that's nice too. Let's be honest. I started this diet to lose weight, okay? Vanity pulls us in, does it not? It does. And I started this because I was extremely overweight. I'm very short-waisted. This is actually, my waist is up here. So I have on some leggings under my dress because it's chilly out. But my waist is literally like right here. And then I'm all legs. You've probably seen pictures of me. Anyway, so I carried all this weight and my face and different things like that. And I've lost over 70 pounds. And being honest with you, I love being lean. It feels extremely good. I got down to like a size 4 a few winters ago, and I didn't necessarily like being that lean. So I float between a 6 and an 8 now. So that's about where I'm at. So I'm going to be 47 at my next birthday. So I want to have a little bit of, shape here, like curves. I didn't have curves a couple of years ago. Not to be, weird about it or whatever, but vanity is what pulls us in, right? It's why we start a diet. Then it drives us nuts. Then we realize how we got unhealthy in the first place. Then we have to deal with all our head stuff. That's hard. That's the hard part of the journey. Then you get healthy. First you get lean and you start getting mentally healthy. You start looking at ingredients and you start being curious and you start taking an interest in how many antioxidants and nutrients and what properties they have and what good things they do for your body. And you get excited about your health. For the first time in my adult life that happened. Anyway, and then a lot of things change and a lot of things happen. But this is not the time when you should get more and more and more restrictive, like I was saying, and start cutting out more things. This is a time when you should start saying, what else can I enjoy while maintaining this really good energy, this really good state of no pain, no inflammation, feeling happy and healthy and, living an active life, etc. Let me see here. I have a comment from Danny and Martha that said, I've hit the age where I cannot lose if I eat 3 meals a day. I've been just doing 2 keto meals a day and drinking lots of water. I've not been hungry. I hope it helps my chronic knee pain soon. So here's the thing about that, if you don't mind if we talk about it a little bit. The thing about that is it's not about the number of meals you eat, and it's not about the time of day you eat. Because I could be up at 3 in the morning, or I could be up until 3 in the morning. My schedule is all over the board, right? So if I had to eat in a window, the window is always changing. That wouldn't work for me. And we're all metabolically different as well. So it's good to find these things out. However, eating 3 meals a day, I'm not really sure whoever came up with that was a standard that we should eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I have a hard time with that sometimes when I'm posting my meals. I don't necessarily call it lunch or call it this or call it that. But I also don't want to call it my one big meal of the day because I don't want anybody to assume I'm forcing myself in a window to do OMAD or fasting. OMAD being 1 meal a day. So here's the thing, and this goes for everybody. Eat when you're hungry. Don't eat when you're not. And when you are eating, stop when you feel satisfied. And this is a new thing for me because I was a binge eater and it was an addiction. You guys, I still have fond memories, okay? I'm not going to lie. It was an addiction like a drug. This feeling of being overly stuffed to the point of lethargic, like just couldn't function, was almost comical. And I will tell you, I had a lot of eating disorders and overcame them. That's the happy part. But let's talk about, like, I was addicted to this feeling. I could not wait till everything was done for the day so that I could get to this point. And it was almost like a drug. It's intoxicating in a weird way, a downer. But I would literally not go out to eat. I would order takeout. And I would order a lot of takeout. And I would, like, a lot of times go get it in my pajamas. But otherwise, I would come home and quickly change into my pajamas because my regular everyday clothes couldn't handle the amount of food I was about to eat. That's kind of sad. But I loved this time of day, and it was my thing. So I would get into, my night dress or my what do you call those, elastic waist, or like the big oversized pajama pants and a big t-shirt, fuzzy socks or whatever. And I would literally eat either in bed or I would bring my pillow to the couch because I knew the amount of food I was about to consume that I was going to eat until I was so full that I was going to have to sleep where I was. That's how much I ate. And I ate to the point of being completely lethargic, not being able to move or function. And I jokingly called it my food coma. How sad is that? And it was something I looked forward to. So there were a lot of times there were whole pizzas and whole pies in my bed. I had running jokes because it was no secret to anybody that knew me in my life that I had a food problem. But I had running jokes because somebody said to me, you have, it was one of the kids, I think, and I'd worked all day that day on housework and cleaned the house and all the kind of stuff. And I think it was my son who said, you have a whole pizza in your bed, but you just washed the bedding. I'm like, exactly. No 2-second rule. The bed's clean. I can drop as much pizza as I want on it and still eat it. This is how bad it was. So I want you to understand that I'm coming from a place of understanding, a lot of different aspects from, health problems, to eating disorders and the headspace that you have to, overcome and come out of and things like that. So just want you to know that I do understand those things. Carrie said, so what's your thought on alcohol? Thank you for all your help. Good question, Carrie. I'm not much of a drinker. Never mind all the bottles of wine. See all those behind me? This stuff's amazing, by the way. Look. This wine, and if you're interested in this wine, it's Keto wine. The company owns everything. The dirt, the grape, the whole 9 yards. It's not like outsourced to some other people or whatever. These are good people. I like these people. Anyway, less than 2 carbs for the whole bottle. And it tastes good. I tested it. I pricked my finger multiple times and I tested it. So I'm personally not much of a drinker, but I like to have a drink now and then, which would be maybe a glass of wine with dinner or wine with my girlfriends once or twice a year. I'd usually just rather have coffee, but unless I'm dancing or water skiing. Now, if I'm dancing or water skiing, it's low-carb beer. If I'm out to eat or having time with my girlfriends, it is, and I'm trying not to touch my finger to anything, then it's, usually wine or rum and Diet Coke. So, alcohol. What are my thoughts on alcohol are this. A lot of people think it will knock you out of ketosis, and a lot of people assume that, but it has never been the case for me, especially because I drink zero carb, like rum and Diet Coke, super low carb wine that's less than 2 carbs for the whole bottle. The beers I drank, listen to this. I tested this one night. I went out dancing, and I was dancing for like 5 or 6 hours. I literally danced 12,000 steps on my Fitbit in this period of time. And I drank 5 beers for dinner. because I had had one big meal earlier that day, and then I went dancing for hours, and then I was too tired, to try to eat after that, so I just went to bed. So I had 5 beers for dinner, and was still had a high ketone reading the next morning and all the next day. So I think that it depends on what you're drinking, what you're eating with what you're drinking, and your metabolic state. But I don't have any problem with it. As far as any other thoughts on alcohol, it metabolizes slower than food. So this is the only time alcohol matters to me. And I'm going to be honest, this goes back to vanity again, okay? Let's say, and this is not going to be relevant for you guys, but for you ladies, all right? Let's say you have a hot date on Friday night, or you have a big event this weekend where you're speaking or you're going to a party and you're going to wear a little black dress or a certain outfit or whatever, okay? And you want to drop a pound or 2 pounds, or you don't want to gain and you don't want to be bloated, right? For this particular event coming up. That's when you would say, I'll choose not to drink alcohol. And I'll tell you the reason why is because alcohol takes longer to metabolize than food. And it also has to metabolize first. So it takes up to 72 hours to metabolize any one thing you eat. That's why I do 6-day clean testing on foods. So if you eat something today and tomorrow you have a reaction, you're going to assume it's what you ate today, but that is not always the case. Okay? But if you drink alcohol, then everything else you eat or have eaten that hasn't metabolized yet has to wait in queue. Has to be held in queue while your body metabolizes the alcohol first. Therefore, you will generally not see a loss on the scales. You'll see a hold on the scales while your body is metabolizing that alcohol. So that's okay. On a normal, everyday basis or on a weekly basis, that's not a big deal. But in the case that you've got to throw on a certain dress, or you want to look a certain way for a certain event on a certain day, then it might be important to you to skip the alcohol that week. I hope that wasn't too convoluted of an answer. You said, what are your thoughts on alcohol? Suzanne said it metabolizes faster or slower? Way slower. So what you're saying is you heard that it metabolizes faster, and that's why women have to be careful. Now, that's a different situation. When you eat super low carb and when you're in ketosis, alcohol hits you harder and it hits you faster than when you're not in ketosis. So if your body is in a state of ketosis and you decide, like, 5 beers is way past my limit. The only reason I was able to drink 5 beers that night is because it was over the course of 6 hours. And 12,000 steps of dancing nonstop. That's the only reason I was able to drink that many. Normally I can't. So your limit is going to change. Your drink limit is going to change when you're in ketosis. So you want to test that very cautiously because you don't want to get like more of an effect from the alcohol than you expected because you're so used to drinking 2 glasses of wine, or whatever. So that's something to consider as well. But it does metabolize, as far as digest, very much slower. Karen said on the MyFitnessPal, my carbs come out to be 15. So should I stick with 15 or go to 20? See, that's a good question too. You guys got the best questions today. You could do 25, and it probably isn't going to matter. It depends on where those 25 carbs, total carbs or net carbs, and especially that matters too, are coming from, more so than the exact number. So we put numbers on it. So I do 20 net carbs max, 70% fat minimum. However, there are days that I do 27 net carbs and 68% fat. Do I freak out over that? No. Do I make myself eat something for the numbers to come out right? No. I never eat for the numbers. It's not always going to be exact, and that's okay. So the thing is, as long as I'm eating foods that don't knock me out of ketosis, there's a range in there of probably 10 or 20 carbs on whole foods that you can eat and still maintain nutritional ketosis, and that's why it's important to test. So I wouldn't stress necessarily over, should I do 15 net carbs or 15 total carbs versus 20? I would say, I'm going to test this for 2 weeks. Give yourself 2 full weeks at 20 net carbs, 2 full weeks at 15 net carbs, 2 full weeks at 30 net carbs, then go back to 15, but still eat the same volume of food and the same types of food, right? To keep it as clean a test as possible and see how your body responds. But it's not one of those things where you can do it like one day I'll do this, one day I'll do that, one day I'll do this, because like I said, you're not giving your body that time to adjust. So clean tests they take a little patience and diligence, to do. Speaking of, I'm going to prick my finger. There were a lot of people who were very curious and interested in how the Keto Mojo works and whether it was painful, and the whole idea of drawing blood is, that's not great or whatever. I want to show you how easy and simple and painless it is. Sharon said, I was a binge eater too all my life. Yes, like a drug. I no longer do that. I can't believe sometimes I have to think, did I eat today? With everyone, I wish everyone knew this freedom from binging. I call it food freedom. And it is so empowering, and it is so much more of a high than binge eating ever was. And don't get me teared up, y'all. The restaurant that I used to go in and get takeout, they knew me. I came in a lot. I ate a lot. And I went in one day and sat down to eat. And, of course, I was by myself, and I live alone, for those of you that don't know. I eat alone. I live alone. And so I went in one day to eat because I was in town and I had, places to go, and I wasn't going home. And I'm keto, so I was really only going to eat one meal anyway. So I go in and I order the Delmonico ribeye and the roasted vegetables and that. So anyway, the owner pops by because we know each other and we're both local business owners, and I've eaten there for years. So the owner pops by my table and he goes, "Where's your family?" I said, "I don't have one. Why do you ask?" And he goes, "You always order for a family." I would literally order 3 meals and 2 desserts, you guys, for myself. And I laughed and I said, "Yeah, I used to eat that much." He said, "Yourself?" I was like, that's bad. Karen said, "I also get the message I've not eaten enough and how unhealthy that is. I assume just disregard it because I followed your don't eat if you're not hungry. On MyFitnessPal, I disregard that. However, I don't try to eat low calorie. So even on days when I don't eat much food, like volume of food, my calories usually come out to at least 1,200, but not always. So there's days I might eat 800 or 900 calories or 1,100 calories. There's days I eat 2,200 calories. So it's less about that because I don't count calories and we don't have to. I've never had to. I lost all my weight eating anytime I was hungry, not eating when I wasn't. But in the case that your calories are that low, add in some good healthy fats, just to make sure that, because the only reason I say that is if you've ever experienced a weight loss stall. So if I don't eat enough, or if my body's not getting enough energy, my weight loss stalls out. It's like my body goes into hold mode. If I eat too lean, like not enough fat, or if I eat too low calorie, my body holds and will even put on weight. Like I'll gain weight. It's like it holds water because it's like goes in fear mode or something weird. It just goes into hold. That's my body. But I know my body over this long period of time, and I want you to know your body in the same way. So the wine is Secco, but I don't earn any money with sales of this wine that I was talking to you guys about. However, I did talk them into giving us a free shipping coupon code because, shipping's expensive. And that is one of the benefits that I have of what I do and our amazing community is that I can negotiate deals like that for us. So I did negotiate us a free shipping coupon code for that. So I'll come back and give you the link to that. And plus it shows my review where I tested it. Deborah said, if I don't eat enough, I stall too. Yeah, that's very common for me. It's weird. All right, so I promised that I was going to test ChocZero while we're talking, but if I don't go ahead and prick my finger now, we're not going to get to see the results together before you might have to go or something like that. So keep the questions coming. Let's keep the conversation going. We're going to talk more about, I want to know what you guys think. How do you feel about me saying you should stop dieting? How do you feel about me saying that you should not get more and more restrictive? You should get more and more variety and enjoyment. All right, so you want to see what I'm doing, I guess? I will show you what I'm doing. How many of you have a Keto Mojo and test your blood sugar levels, your glucose and ketone levels? Suzanne said, I heard from a weight loss coach that if you're lacking in fat, you'll tend to crave sugar. I found that to be true for me. Yes, you and me both. I agree with that. But I'm not usually lacking in fat. Have you seen my cheesy eggs? That is like a plate full of fat. It's so good, though. It's also very high protein. So there's another good question I get a lot, which is, how much, aren't you eating too much protein, or you're having too much protein or whatever. I tripled the amount of protein intake while still maintaining 70% fat. So if you're interested in that, I think they're telling it wrong, and they're confusing people about when they're saying you should eat high protein and fat's just a lever, and it's not about high fat and it's this, but they're not telling you numbers. If they're eating a big fat ribeye and they're not calculating the amount of fat in that ribeye, how fair is that? When I went to Austin, Texas, and I ate all the brisket, all the ribeye, and all the bunless burgers and all that stuff, I was still 70 to 80% fat every single day. Karen said, thanks for the info about not eating enough. I know, it's weird, isn't it? Because prior to being a binge eater, I was bulimic. And prior to that, I would starve myself when I was upset. I've been through a lot of eating disorders, unfortunately. However, it's interesting because I got down to a ridiculously sick, low weight, not eating, and stuff before. But I think it's different when you are healthy, and when you're eating healthy, and your body says, I need energy, I need nutrition, and that's a very important thing. Sharon said, love the cheesy eggs. Me too. All right, so here's what I have going on, and I'm going to change my needle real quick. So this is I'm not very technical, Lancet. There we go. So it has these needles that it comes with, and this is the kit. So somebody asked me earlier today which kit to get. There's an expensive one that's $100 and something. You don't need that one. Just get the basic starter kit. And I have a 15% off discount link, so you definitely want to do that. But this thing's really easy to use, and they have short videos on their website. So I'm going to discard this needle that I've used already, and you want to discard of that appropriately, properly, etc. So I'm going to put it over here, out of the way where I won't accidentally prick myself with it. So you put the new one down in there, and it has this little tip on it, and you just twist it right off. How many of you have a Keto Mojo or have tested your own blood sugar? Yeah, it was you, Edie. I didn't know if you were here, so it's good to see you. Am I pronouncing your name right, too? All right, so there it's in there, and then you just put the cap on and twist it. That's it. All right, so the needle's in there, and then you pull it until it says orange right there, so you know it's activated or whatever. So then I have two things. I have strips for blood sugar testing and strips for ketone testing. You guys want to see me do this and eat chocolate? And I test the ChocZero and see. Anne said, I've never used anything like this. So it's really interesting. Anne, have you seen some of my tests? Did you find out? The cost of the Keto Mojo on the website is $50-something, but I have a 15% off discount link. But it includes all this stuff. It's a kit. It comes with all this. The bag, the needles, the lancet, the thing, all these, everything. It's the whole kit. So it's good. It's actually really, and I love mine. It has been so helpful because I discovered, let me tell you guys why I was nervous to test ChocZero. I was nervous to test ChocZero because back before I started blood testing, I was mostly guessing. And what have I've already said? Testing over guessing. And this is the reason why. It's from my own experience. So remember ChocZero dipping cups? They were so amazing. I was having a weight loss problem during that time. And I wanted to blame ChocZero dipping cups. Do you know what it turned out to be? And I didn't discover it until I got this. It turned out to be Domino's wings. Domino's plain wings with no sauce, no breading, have an entire paragraph of ingredients. And I ate them all the time because I thought they were just plain chicken wings. They knocked me out of ketosis. It was never ChocZero. So anyway, I've been testing ChocZero this week. That's why I've been eating so plain. But I want to show you how this works, and I wanted you to understand the process of why I do it. Anne said, very interested in testing and learning more. Yes, very cool. But if you're just guessing, you're going to cut out foods you could really enjoy. And you're going to eat foods that are going to continue to knock you out of ketosis. So I know the wings at Smooth Rapids, a little local place on the river, are great. I know the wings at Zaxby's, plain, wings that I get, bone-in wings with no sauce, no, unbreaded, just plain bone-in wings. Great. They're just chicken. In fact, that's the only ingredient, chicken. The wings at Domino's, no. Those are not okay. Jody said, I just ordered one this morning, hoping it will help me stay motivated. It will. You'll love it. All right, so let's do this real quick. So what we'll do is I'll start with, and I'm just going to cross my fingers. My numbers are good for us to do this test. You never know. And sometimes you get, it's kind of like stepping on the scale in the morning. And let's say you didn't even eat yesterday. Let's say you didn't get hungry and you didn't eat. All you had was a bottle of water yesterday. And you step on the scale and you're a pound heavier. It makes no logical sense, right? And that's how it is with this. I never know what my body is doing its own thing all the time. And I have to respect that. And I want to impart that on you. If nothing else, that you take that away from this talk that we're having, so that you say to yourself, I'm going to respect my body. I'm going to feed it when I'm hungry. I'm going to stop eating when I'm satisfied, etc. Karen said, are you saying to get one even if you're not diabetic? Well, I have to stay in nutritional ketosis for health reasons. Diabetics are not the only one that need to. But if you're concerned about whether foods are keto or not keto, or let's say that you want to be able to know, hey, can I drink alcohol and stay in ketosis? Can I eat a sweet potato and stay in ketosis? If you want to widen your range of foods, or if you want to eat ChocZero chocolate, but you've been told around the internet it's not keto, you should know for yourself whether you can enjoy it or not. So those are the reasons to test over guess. So I'm not diabetic, although I've never been tested for it. And when I do eat off plan, I test then too. I document everything. And when I do eat off plan, my blood sugar levels are diabetic levels. But I've never been tested, and I've never let the doctor run those tests on me. So if I were type 2 at some point, I didn't want to be medicated for it or treated for it. I wanted to get healthy on my own. Melanie said, what do you think about the urine strips that people use? So the interesting thing about that, and if I don't prick my finger, I'll answer that in a second. We're not going to get this test done. I'll have to eat chocolate while we talk. So this is really easy to use. So the thing I'm going to do first is I'm going to take this and I'll do my ketone levels first. So that's the blue strip, and you just pop it right in here. Comes on and it checks it to make sure that it's working properly. It's a little bit glares on the screen. This is easy. I want you guys to see how easy this is. So this is this, and it has a button right here where my thumb is. So this is the thumb. I've been trying not to touch to anything. And I get the fatty part right there. Get the fatty part like that and kind of push it up. Do you see what I'm doing? And bip. That's it. I did not even flinch, right? It didn't hurt. And I don't know, I'm kind of used to doing this, so it doesn't really bother me or anything. It's just a little dot of blood. And then you put it right here, and that strip sucks it right in. It just sucks it right in there. Do you see how it sucked it in there? All right, so we're going to see what it says. I don't know what my numbers will be. Oh, it's 0.6. So that means I am in ketosis. Anything 0.5 or above is in ketosis. Now, why would it be so low? My numbers range anywhere from 0.5 to 2 point something. That has to do with the time of day. It has to do with your stress, et cetera, et cetera. It has to do with a lot of factors, what you've eaten, what you haven't eaten, et cetera. It's the end of a long day and I haven't had a meal yet today. But I only ate super clean because I knew we were going to do this testing tonight. So my number's lower than I expect it to be at this hour, but it's still in ketosis. So it's not one of those things you should get hung up on, like your weight on the scales. All it basically is I'm in ketosis or I'm not. So let's test my blood sugar, my glucose levels. We'll do that next. So we put that little strip in here. Bam. See if I still have blood from the same hole, or I have to poke myself again because I waited too long while we were gabbing. Let me try to blame you guys for that. All right, let me do it again. Wasn't hard. Did you see that? That was easy. So I got a fresh one, and I stick it in there, and you watch, it just sucks the blood right up in that little strip. It doesn't hurt or anything. So my normal blood sugar rate is 85. So it's slightly elevated at 99, but not something I'm overly concerned about. Like I said, again, I worked all day and I just got through teaching a 2-hour class that was really high key, so it could be a stress thing. But I'm still within good ranges, so I'm not concerned about that at all. And I don't want you to be concerned about that. I had a 1.7 yesterday when I was testing ChocZero, and somebody said, how do you get your ketone levels that high? And I said, honestly, it really doesn't matter. It's more of a vanity metric for some people because it's really, are you in ketosis or not in ketosis? You know, you're in or you're out. It's like being pregnant. You are or you aren't. All right, so those are my current numbers. Can somebody jot that down for me? 0.6 and 99, because I didn't take pictures and I should have. I always document with photos because they have timestamps. Anyways, how do you know your normal blood glucose levels? That's a great question because they vary throughout the day, just like your weight. So your only true weight is first thing in the morning when you first get up, right after you pee. And then that's your only true weight. But if you get on the scale every hour all day, you'll see that it fluctuates all day long, right? That's from inflammation, water weight, various other factors. The same is with your blood sugar. It's just going to fluctuate a little all day. So in the morning, it's generally higher. And your numbers, your baseline levels are generally at their best in the evening, at the end of the day before your evening meal. Now, so you find out your normal levels are going to be different than mine, okay? And my normal levels changed in the last year. I used to always be 0.5 or 0.6, whereas now I consider that lower than my baseline. But you'll learn how to improve those numbers or improve your health by using tools like this. Anyway, you figure out your baseline numbers by testing and it shows them in the short videos on the website. If you look in the link at the description of this video, they have short videos on their website that explain it all. But you test in the morning so you know your morning, your higher number. You test, before and after meals so you know kind of what your normal ranges are. Ashley said, are everyone's keto numbers the same? No. Ketone levels vary by person. I did a really good video on this with the founder of this tool, Keto Mojo. And the thing about that is called bioindividuality. Your body is different than mine. It's like a thumbprint. We're genetically different. We have different environmental factors. We have different external factors like stress, sleep quality, our metabolic health, our, sensitivities and intolerances. All of those things are so unique to you. That's what this tool is for, is to determine what you can and can't eat and what your baseline numbers are. So yeah, we're all different. That's why when somebody says that's not keto, I just laugh. I'm like, I had this lady, do it. She was always so rude to me on Twitter or whatever. And I'm like, food is not keto. Like, keto is a metabolic state, and it is because I tested and I was a 1.7. It is, so people are weird. Melanie said, do you do this once a day? No. Who wants to prick every day? I don't. I only test because I know now at this point what foods I cannot eat or what foods I can eat, I'm sure. Is what I'm saying. So I can eat, like let's say hamburger steak, a bunless bacon cheeseburger, cheesy eggs, raw pecans. I know all the whole list of foods that I can safely eat. So there's no point in testing daily. The only time I'm testing is when I'm testing a new product, a keto product for you, like ChocZero chocolate, when I'm testing a new restaurant order for you, like Domino's wings, or when I'm testing a new Starbucks order for you. Does maltodextrin really spike your blood sugar or not? That's the kind of stuff I like to find out. But do I do it every day? No. And when I do it, it's a 6-day process like I outlined earlier. I have to be in the ideal state to do it. So I don't consider these ideal numbers for me to do a test, but we'll do it anyway. What do I think of urine strips? So I will answer that question is they can be a really good tool in the beginning. However, how many of you keep your ketone strips, your urine strips in the bathroom? Duh, that's the most convenient place to keep them, right? They are extremely hot, like temperature sensitive. They are extremely sensitive to moisture. And your bathroom is the one place where it might get the coldest, and then you have this hot shower, and the temperature changes back and forth in your bathroom, and it's steamy showers, right? So, they're ruined. Literally within days of opening a box of those or a bottle of those, they're ruined. They have a very short shelf life, the urine strips. So within 30 days or 15 days or whatever your strips say on the bottle, they're no longer accurate. So they have a very short shelf life. So don't order a big bottle of 90 or whatever. They're extremely temperature sensitive, moisture sensitive. So you want to keep them in a cool, dry place. I know, I didn't know that either, Melanie, and I kept mine in the bathroom, like the most logical place to keep them, right? The other thing to know is most of them are shipped from overseas, and they are already subjected to temperature and moisture problems before you ever get them. So you need to only order ones or buy ones that are made in the U.S., and then you still have, that whole process of getting them to you to worry about. The other thing about urine strips, I'm not against them. I've used them and tried them as well. Some vitamins you take will give you false positives and false negatives, because, some vitamins you take make your pee glow in the dark. But some don't. But I'm being serious. We're just being candid here, right? You know what I'm talking about. If you've ever, peed a neon color, it's from a multivitamin, you understand what I'm saying. That can give you a false positive. It can also give you a false negative. So certain things you eat can mess that up. The thing about it is you're not testing the amount of ketones in your body when you pee on a strip. You are testing the amount of ketones your body is discarding. When you're testing with blood, you're testing the amount of ketones your body is using right now. And if you do use anything that has exogenous ketones, ketone salts, ketone ethers, keto coffees that have those in them, you're getting a false positive. Those are not actually nutritional ketosis. When you ingest ketones and then pee them out, all you're doing is making for expensive pee and pretty pee strips. That's it. It doesn't actually mean you're in ketosis or that your body, it's not even proven that your body is using those ketones. So just some FYI about all of that stuff. For generally speaking, they're like a pregnancy test. If you need a quickie, can pee on a urine strip, it turns a color or it doesn't. It's kind of like a pregnancy test you bought at Fred's or at the dollar store. You still probably need to go get that double checked, right? Your doctor would say, come in and let's do a blood test and verify you are indeed pregnant. Correct? Right. So that's the reason for the blood testing, because it's actually accurate and it tells you what's in your actual system. But it can vary, it could be from I'm hyped up, I'm on, video. It's kind of like public speaking a little bit. I feel a little bit on the spot, so it could be a little bit of stress. We've had this problem before when I was testing with live video where my numbers were, not my general baseline numbers. But let's talk ChocZero. How many of you saw my ChocZero? I fell in love. I haven't had ChocZero since dipping cups because I got so sad when they stopped making dipping cups that I just blocked out ChocZero altogether. Melanie said, your info is great. Thanks so much. Thank you for that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I have been eating a ketogenic low-carb diet for almost 9 years. I do a lot of testing. I've learned a lot. I actually consult with doctors. I go to the Metabolic Health Summit. I'll be speaking this year at KetoCon, which is the biggest conference, keto conference anywhere in the world. If you would like to go, by the way, I think that I have a discounted link for tickets for that event, and they are the cheapest they're ever going to be right now. They're going to get more expensive after the new year. So let me know if you're interested, and I'll get you the link to check it out. Karen said, the keto strips have never worked for me. I can tell with my bad breath and urine color, as you taught me, if I'm in ketosis. Yes. So there's ways, like for me, before I had a Keto Mojo, I could tell I was in ketosis. So I had certain things. I felt keto lean. I had high energy. I just knew. I could tell I was in ketosis. However, I kept getting knocked out, and I kept having this like fluctuation where I was like feeling like I was out and in and having slight keto flu symptoms, and it was kind of this kind of a thing going on. I had no idea it was Domino's wings, and it was I found a couple of other culprits, over the course of actually blood testing. And now that I've stayed in ketosis consistently, my baseline numbers have changed. My carb tolerance is better. I can actually eat a sweet potato now. That's all wonderful things. Cheryl said, I just ordered more of the ChocZero peppermint white chocolate chips. Jennifer said, so if the test strips come out dark, it's not necessarily a good thing? No, it's kind of like with this. Anything 0.5 or above is in ketosis. So the fact that I'm 0.6 is a low number for me, but that doesn't mean anything bad or good. As far as the urine strips, people use it for bragging rights, like, oh, deeper state of ketosis. That means nothing. So it has to do with your hydration levels. It has to do with your activity levels. It has to do with a lot of things. But again, it's like being pregnant. You're in or you're out. You are in ketosis or you're not. That's it. Sharon said, me too, loved those dipping cups. I saw your post on the peppermint bark and ordered some. They are so good. Yeah. So you guys like the dark chocolate peppermint bark. So let me tell you, this was good. And it was the first one I tried. The keto bark. It has little like crunchy little bits in the dark chocolate that actually make it like peppermint chocolate. And they're a little bit sticky, like stick to my teeth. I like that kind of. But the coconut milk chocolate, you guys, blew me away. I had nothing on these. These are the peppermint dark chocolate, which are amazing. They're good. But that milk chocolate coconut, y'all, you saw pictures of it, I'm sure. It is so good. So what I'm going to do is we'll test the chips. Lips are dry. A long day here. We'll test the chips. So I will, and these, by the way, I'm not going to test separately. These are the regular white chocolate chips. These I'm going to make chocolate hazelnut white chocolate chip cookies and chocolate hazelnut white chocolate chip muffins. So they're white chocolate chips. And did you see that lightning? That was thunder. If I lose power, it was nice. I had fun. That's a big storm. Anyway, these are the peppermint chips. So I'm not testing them separately because they have the same ingredients, minus peppermint extract. So I looked up all the ingredients, and the most questionable ingredient is the soluble corn fiber, which people are unsure about, but it is non-GMO, and it has not given me any problems. You heard that, did you? The thunder? I love a good storm, so after this I'll go sit on the back deck with a bedtime coffee. So the first thing we're going to do, I tested already a few minutes ago, but I'm going to test again here in a second. So here's the first thing I'm going to do. Did you guys see the last time I tested chocolate chips? It was a different brand. So this is my poor little scale gets used on the daily. It's pretty used. It gets used on the daily. So the thing about this is if you were to measure this out like a tablespoon, is not the same as 14 grams. So I tried that. You are cheating yourself out of quite a few nuts or quite a few chocolate chips or quite a few of whatever it is if you're not weighing it on an inexpensive little kitchen scale. The great thing about it, though, is I can put them directly on the kitchen scale, but you can put this on it, and then it has this tare or tar button that you can X the weight of this out. So I'm going to first turn it on and make sure I go to grams. All right, so it says 0 grams. Now I'm going to put this dish on there, and it says 181 grams. So I hit that tare or tar button. It's like the power button, and it zeroes it out. So now the dish is on here, but it's at 0 grams. See how that works? I had to learn that. So then a serving of these is 14 grams. I thought that was like, oh, that don't sound like much. But did you see that it was actually quite a big handful? So I can't touch it with the one thumb. So I'm going to be really cautious here. And I'm just going to measure out 14 grams. It's more than I thought. I'm meticulous with my things. All right, so this is I got 14 grams of these, and these are so good, you guys. Let me turn my little scale off and move it out of the way. These are so good. Do you see my picture of that earlier? So I'm not going to put them in the hand I'm testing with, but this is a serving. It is pretty good amount, and they're so rich and so good. It's a pretty good amount. Oh, did somebody say, Karen said the video stalled on her end. Anybody else? Like maybe I lost Wi-Fi. All right, so these are 1 net carb. Let me just double check that. All right, it's fine for you. Okay, good. So 1 net carb for that many. That's not bad. That is not bad at all. 1 net carb for that many. So I can take these and mix them with white chocolate and milk chocolate and make like layers, like fat bombs with layers. Like you could do all kinds of fun stuff with this. I could take like some keto crackers or some of that peanut butter macadamia granola and like flatten it out or whatever and make like mint cookies. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's so many different things that you could do. Anyway, so I'm going to eat these and we're going to test, but I'm just going to go ahead and test again here just to be super sure about the results. I think that was probably because of the storm. So you guys are great to be patient with me. I didn't know we were expecting a big storm. Boom. That was pretty loud. So I'm going to prick my finger again. This is really not bad. A lot of people were wondering how painful it was. It's just like a little prick or whatever. So I'm doing it again because it's been a little bit of time and I want to see if it changed. So it's about the same. My blood sugar level is about the same. You guys documented what it was for me before. And I'm just going to test my ketone levels one more time just to be 100% sure. But I've had no problems. I've tested ChocZero all week and had no problems with the results. So I do need to document about what time it is, 8:40-ish here at my house. So you just put your little drop of blood in there and it sucks it right down in the strip. That's easy. Yeah, so it's the same, 0.6. So it hasn't changed or anything like that. I was just curious. So I'm going to eat these amazing chips while we chat. These are so good, and I want to show you the bark, right? And I tested both. Did you guys see my test results? I tested my blood sugar. I tested my ketone levels. My ketone levels were 1.7 after eating chocolate chips and chocolate bark the night before. That was the next day. They were really good. So I'm going to show you the ChocZero coconut. You guys know my discount code is traveling low carb. It's different. Most places my discount code is low carb traveler, but at ChocZero it's traveling low carb. This is the last batch of mint chocolate chips they're making until next holiday, unless they don't make them again like the dipping cups. Remember when the dipping cups disappeared, went away, and never came back? That was my fear with this. So after my dipping cup problem, I said, this is a lot. They said, this is the last batch we're making until next holiday season. Because I'm not planning a binge, I promise. But I thought I need to be able to like have enough to get me through the year. You know, like if I want something, because I love peppermint white chocolate. That's like one of my favorite things. And remember I did that whole video on the Lindor white chocolate peppermint truffles, and I was comparing it to relationships? That's how much I love peppermint white chocolate. Right after that video, I discovered these. And I'm like, what if they don't make them again next year? So in addition to ordering 5 bags the first time around, stocking up, I see, she said. In addition to ordering 5 bags the first time around, I just placed an order for 5 more. Because it's, honestly, they're not going to come back until, this is the last run. They only had 10,000 more. They made one last batch of 10,000 bags, and those are going to sell out fast. And then after that, they won't make them again until next holiday season. But like I said, I'm having a little trust issue after the dipping cups, right? It was $8.40. These are so good. But I have to eat them so that we can test. These taste like Andes mints. Do you remember those? Those little in the little shiny green wrappers? Melt in your mouth. I'm not even kidding you how good they are. They're so good. I can't wait to make, like, what should I make with them as far as baking? I was thinking all kinds of stuff. Like, you know, I have a fudge pie recipe or a chocolate pie recipe. How good would that be if I melted these down and made a mint chocolate chip pie? I think that would be really good. Like fudge with mint, with the mint icing topping or whatever. That would be really good. They're so good. They're like happiness in my mouth, y'all. All right. The bark, I will show you. It's beautiful. I was really impressed. So how many of you have had a chance to try these so far? Deborah said Andy's dark chocolate and mint. I know you like the dark chocolate. That's your thing. Yeah, these are so beautiful, you guys. I am just so impressed with how pretty these are. I broke mine. So bear with me here because it's broken. Look at this. That's the coconut one. Milk chocolate coconut. You don't even know if you can really see the texture. So I'll just crack it in half and I'll save this for later. I'll put it in a Ziploc bag and save it for later. Look at this. Those are crispy, crunchy. Oh, save it for later. Pfft, look. Listen. That is the creamiest chocolate I have ever had in my life. I don't know if you can hear the little crispies. It's like, it's not overly coconutty because it's not that fake coconut flavor. It's more like really good coconut, but crisp. So it's kind of like a crunch bar with that coconut crunch. These are so good, you guys. The milk chocolate is so creamy. Not like normal keto chocolate. Man, that's good. Look at this, though. These pieces of coconut. I got chocolate all over my fingers. Can you see those? I think my white nails are messing up the color. Mark said I'm a coconut freak. Dude, you will love these. Look. They're crunchy. They're not, I don't know if you can hear the crunch. They're not soggy or soft. They're so good. This whole bar is a lot of chocolate to eat for me. It's 3 net carbs because it's milk chocolate, so it has dairy. I'm going to have to wash my hands again before we retest. So, what I ate today, I had a collagen coffee, and I was really busy with work, so I had perfect keto bars. Tell me what you ate today while I eat this chocolate. Oh, and let's get back to fun questions. Well, I can talk while I'm eating chocolate. Let's get back to fun questions. You guys had such great questions. Now, if you disagree with me about, being able to eat, let's say, ChocZero chocolate, or if you disagree with me about, being able to eat a sweet potato, or about being less restrictive and broadening your foods while maintaining nutritional ketosis, I'm all for hearing your side too. For me, and this is what I want for you, for me, it's important I've been eating keto for almost 9 years. So getting more restrictive or not having new options that makes my life feel like deprived. But being able to find keto-friendly things, stay in ketosis, and enjoy things like that, it makes it sustainable for me long term without a problem. I don't end up, going off plan, being like, I gotta have this thing or whatever, because I got stuff that's keto. Good question, Jennifer. She said, how often do you eat sweets like that? Is it daily? It's not, because I don't really crave sweets, although this is really nice holiday treat. And I agree with Deborah. It's interesting how your taste buds change over time. But I don't eat sweets daily. I don't do dessert. So for me, a lot of times if I have something sweet, like when we made a keto pecan pie, I shared the recipe here on my page. I had that for breakfast. Or I had a scoop of keto ice cream, which is really good, made with cage-free eggs and whole milk. Not whole milk, heavy cream and cage-free eggs, and it's actually like dinner, the ice cream is. It's the same kind of stuff you would make homemade. Anyway, a scoop of ice cream on top of that pie is a meal for me. I don't eat snacks as far as eating between meals, and I don't eat dessert as in a meal after a meal. So if I have a bowl of keto ice cream with a chopped up almond butter brownie or salted caramel bar, I'll chop that up on top of it and then drizzle it with macadamia nut butter. That's dinner for me. But I don't eat sweets like that often. In fact, that's why I don't mind to pay extra for the keto ice cream I can tolerate and can eat, because I can't do chicory root fiber, which is in most of them. So the ice cream I like is expensive, but it's really high quality. But it lasts me a really long time because, if you gave me Ben and Jerry's, I could eat 2 pints. But this, I eat half a pint and I am completely satisfied. Jennifer said, was it harder to skip sweets in the beginning and just easier for you now since you've been doing it so long? That's a really good question, Jennifer. To be honest with you, in the beginning, I used replacements. I had crutches. And I don't see a problem with that. I say whatever it takes to make the transition. So I know a lot of you are going to freak out when I say this out loud, and it was bad. But I would eat an entire bag of Russell Stover's sugar-free candy. I would eat an entire bag of sugar-free York peppermint patties and suffer the horrific consequences of digestive issues from eating that much maltitol. I'd be sick for days. But I couldn't, because I was so used to, I was a sugar eater, I was a carb eater, so I ate low-carb bread. I relied on a lot of bars for that candy bar, because I was used to having candy bars in the middle of the day. I ate a lot of low-carb bars, I ate a lot of low-carb breads, I had a lot of sugar-free candy. I kept sugar-free Werther's Originals in my pocket in case I had a craving, something to stick in my mouth. So I made the transition using crutches. I bridged the gap with that. So no, I didn't skip sweets. When you say, was it harder to skip sweets in the beginning? I didn't skip sweets. It wasn't until I got in ketosis that I stopped craving sweets, and I naturally started craving avocado, spinach, foods I never even liked. I didn't even like those foods before. Oh, I'm going to put sticky hands here. So anyways, I started craving healthier foods, and so I rarely eat sweets at all anymore. It's kind of a treat. So I test them for you guys, which takes a 6-day process, of course. And then, like, other than besides testing certain things for you guys, on the rare occasion, I'll buy a bag of those. I like the Russell Stover peanut butter cups, and it lasts me 2 weeks now, where it used to didn't last 2 minutes. Sharon said, I had collagen coffee in the morning and a baked chicken and green beans for supper. I love green beans. I like those crispy ones. Oh, I'm getting that on my keyboard. I'm seeing here if I missed a question while we're testing this real quick. Suzanne said, I'm from Jamaica, so I love anything coconut. Can't do dairy, though. It gives me migraines. So you want to go with the dark chocolate then. Their dark chocolate's really good. Ask Deborah. But I think it is dairy-free. Yes, dairy-free, soy-free. So you don't have to worry about that. And I would say that this one might be vegan-friendly. Whereas obviously the milk chocolate is not because it has dairy. So yes. So if you need vegetarian, vegan, I guess, and dairy-free and all that, use their dark chocolate. And they have dark chocolate chips too. But their milk chocolate does naturally contain dairy. So what about you guys? Did you just like go cold turkey? Because I admire you if you did. So did you just go cold turkey on the whole, well, I can't have sugar anymore, so you had nothing sweet? Or did you find replacements to get you by in the beginning? Jennifer said, do you recommend cutting down on dairy? Have you seen my cheesy eggs? There's like 3 ounces of cheese and a whole tablespoon of butter in my eggs. So no, why would you? I see a lot of people going dairy-free because it's kind of trendy, but unless you have a sensitivity or intolerance or an allergy or, whatever it is, I don't see why you should cut down on dairy. Dairy is wonderful. Dairy is carnivore friendly. It is a very good whole food, healthy fat if you get, real cheese and all that kind of stuff. Oh, for Larry, I went cold turkey. I admire you. Jennifer said, do you recommend cutting down on dairy because I love my cheese? Yeah, no, why would you? I don't eat more than 2 or 3 ounces of cheese a day, and I don't eat 2 or 3 ounces of cheese every day. Right? But why would you? Cheese is good. Anne said, I used replacements for my sugar addiction. Yeah, so I think it's good if you can go cold turkey, that's fine. But if you can't, do not let that be the reason you fail at reaching your weight loss goals or your health goals. Okay? Like, if you can't not eat, maltitol or something that somebody says is going to kill you, or for me, my Starbucks drink, which has maltodextrin, doesn't spike my blood sugar, doesn't affect my ketone levels. Anyway, people are like, that's so not keto. The fact is, I stay in ketosis and enjoy my Starbucks. Cheryl said, I used Atkins in the beginning. I used a lot of Atkins shakes and bars in the beginning too. So Deborah said, I was a cleaner eater, so the transition was pretty easy except getting enough fat. Gotcha. So everybody's different. But I don't want you to think, if I can't be perfect, whole foods, organic, health nut, like from, a food addiction, binge eating, carb eating, sugar addict to a health nut overnight is not going to happen. I mean, if you can make that happen, and if you're in, like one extreme to another and you're that kind of person, kudos. But for the most of us, I don't want you to think, oh, I can't follow all these rules of the keto community, therefore I'm going to fail. Therefore you do fail. I don't want that to be the reason that you don't reach your weight loss goals, because it feels good. It feels good to reach your weight loss goal. Suzanne said dairy is inflammatory for many people, but they don't know if they don't cut it out. I didn't until my naturopath told me I'd have less, if any, migraines. Oh, that's interesting. So I used to have chronic migraines, but I never cut out dairy. Being and staying in ketosis consistently, I don't get migraines anymore. Now let me backtrack. If you read my story, or if you end up reading my story later, you'll discover that I have a head trauma, massive head trauma here, brain damage, and I don't feel my face. I've got chocolate on my face, on my fingers. I can't feel my face right here. I used to be paralyzed. I have a metal plate and 2 screws right here. My jaw was broken. The reason I can't feel this is my sinus cavities were busted. My face was paralyzed. My cheekbone was broken. Same side I had the head trauma. So I have regressive memory loss. I'm deaf on this side, but the metal and the head trauma caused me with barometric pressure. Anytime storms would roll through, or the barometric pressure would drop or rise, I tracked it for years, and my migraines were like on a pattern with the barometric pressure, to do with my head trauma. So we're all different. That goes again back to bio-individuality. I have inflammatory arthritis. I can eat dairy with no problem. So it's about testing. It's about testing and seeing for yourself. But the cool thing about it, testing, is all you have to do is you have to not change anything else. If you change 3 things, then you don't know which one of them helped or hurt. So when I went through my elimination diet last year, I had a massive gut health issue. And I went through an elimination diet, and I went down to the one food that didn't cause me gut health problems or flare-ups. And from there, every 3 to 6 days, I would reintroduce one food. And I was scared to death I was going to have to go dairy free, because heavy cream in my Starbucks, cheese in my eggs. There's lots of different times and reasons I'm going to want dairy. So I was worried to death I was going to have to go dairy free. So that was one of the first things I tested. But let me tell you, how meticulous I was. I did a test every 3 days. And if I didn't have any flare-ups, 3 days later, I would do another test. So I could do up to 2 tests a week, or 3 tests in 2 weeks. Otherwise, I had to eat plain meat only in between in order to keep from having flare-ups, and test one thing at a time. So when I tested dairy, I didn't test all dairy. I tested cream first, heavy cream. The next time I tested half and half. The next time I tested cheese. Somebody asked me what kind of cheese I eat. It's a block. You get a block of cheese in the cheese section of Colby Jack cheese, because that's my favorite flavor. But it's the block, and I just cut it off the block myself. I'm not opposed to shredded cheese, by the way. I realize that they have to put potato starch in it to keep it from sticking together or whatever, but it's not enough to equal enough carbs to knock me out of ketosis. Cheryl said, I love that you do these testings. Thank you. So when I tested dairy, I tested each kind of dairy, one at a time, because I wanted to know for sure if I had to cut out all dairy, or if I just had to cut out cream, but I could keep cheese. You guys, I'm telling you, I'm not willing to cut out anything I don't have to. For me, it's about living a bigger life. Being in ketosis and being a healthier, happier, leaner version of myself is about living more and enjoying life more, not about cutting more and more things out of my life, So I was worried about having to go dairy free. I still have sticky fingers. I'll have to wash them so I can test again. It's so good. So I didn't eat quite a third of that, but I'll track that and log that. So that would be 1 carb, and 1 carb for the chips was only 2 carbs. But it felt like a lot of candy. So Melanie said, tell me about the challenge coming up. So this time around, I'm going to try to do something a little different. And I apologize, I didn't get to do a couple of the year-end mini challenges. I had some family things come up. My dad has Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And my son is having seizures again. And I could go on and on. It's all personal stuff, but I had some family stuff come up that, needed my full attention. Anyway, so the challenge coming up, the 2020 Keto Challenge, we're going to do a 90-day challenge, but that's overwhelming for a lot of people. So the mini challenges were a huge hit. Melanie says, so sorry. It's okay. And don't be. It's actually, causing me to spend more time with my dad. It's actually a good thing, because it brings, how things, sometimes hard times can bring families closer and make, forced quality time that you might not have made otherwise or whatever. But anyway, thank you for that. So so the New Year challenge. So the mini challenges were such a hit and people had such great results with those that I decided for this next big challenge, the New Year challenge, we would do a series of mini challenges. And so there'll always be something new and fun and different. And then daily motivation, daily prompts, daily ideas, because I'm real big on the the thought process, the mindset, and helping you overcome some of the same hurdles that I had to deal with for years. I would not want anybody to go through the years worth of, self-torture and stuff that I did to myself in terms of beating myself up and being disgusted with myself and then binge eating again because what was the point, and I went through all of that cycle over and over and over. So want to do some fun stuff with you guys during this particular challenge. Melanie says, sounds great. I need this. Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be accountability. It'll be community. It'll be fun. It'll be challenging. I might give you some journal prompts because I think it's important for us to start to learn about the way our mind works. Everybody's mind works differently, but I actually did a journal prompt a while back that was so incredibly helpful for my overall whole life. And a lot of that had to do with why I was a binge eater, actually. And this particular journal prompt made a huge difference for me. And I titled it, I just made it up, and I titled it, The Lies I Tell Myself. You'd be surprised how many lies we tell ourselves in a day. Or that we've told ourselves for years to the point that we believe it. It was actually, so I wrote them all down, things that I repeated often. And then I determined, were they true or were they not true? And why did I say them? And just, believing that or feeling that or thinking that way, give me permission to make these other choices, et cetera, et cetera. Not necessarily all to do with food, but, it was extremely enlightening. So I'll have to wash my hands before we can test again. Suzanne said, true about testing. I did a weight loss challenge where we eliminated dairy, gluten, and rice and then reintroduced them one by one several days apart. Some were sensitive to gluten, me. Some were sensitive to dairy, I didn't reintroduce. And some were sensitive to rice. So everybody's different. So one of the cool things about having that, there's nothing cool about having that gut health issue. It was awful. But one of the great things that came out of it was I saw a gastroenterologist and had every test in the book run because I wanted to rule out any medical problems. Do I have cancer? Do I have, am I dying? All of these other things needed to be ruled out so that I could get a hold of my health. So I did an elimination diet for 4 months of clean testing every 6 days so that I could take this data to the doctor, and say, here's what I'm responding to, what I'm, what side effects I'm having. I took a lot of data to the specialist when I went to see him. And then I had him run all of the tests, and rule me out. So I don't have celiac disease. I don't have a gluten sensitivity. I don't have any of those problems or issues. Plus I needed to rule out, big scary stuff so that I could work on just, getting my microbiome back under balance and getting my health in gear or whatever. But that was one of the cool things that came out of it was going and doing the testing, which I would highly recommend. If you I pretty much eat gluten-free anyway, but let's talk about how serious gluten-free is. If you go out to a restaurant and you order a steak and maybe it comes just the grilled steak, maybe it comes topped with herb butter, whatever the case. But you order a steak, you pretty much just think you're eating meat and the fat or whatever, that's on the grill or on it, or the butter that comes on it. However, the house seasoning that they sprinkle on it when they grill it, just to give it a little bit of flavor, and you will never taste it, you may never know it's on there, is not gluten-free. So for someone who actually does have celiac disease or gluten insensitivities or intolerances or whatever the case is, it's everywhere. So whenever, and I don't have celiac and I don't have a gluten problem. However, I like my food plain because I've eaten plain for so many years now that it's almost ruins the taste, and I love the taste of real food. I think I've spent my entire life hiding the flavor of food. Any vegetable I ate was buried in a casserole or drowned in a cheese sauce, or fried to death. I never experienced the real taste of food. And now, if you give me 18 grams of blueberries or you grill a steak that is just meat in its own fat, the taste of that real food is so amazingly good to me now. So when I go to a restaurant and I order, let's say I'll have a ribeye, I'll just say, if you use any seasoning or anything besides just salt or salt and pepper, I prefer not to have that. Just meat only is fine. And I can salt it myself, and they're happy to oblige. So if you have celiac, that's important. Let's see. Cheryl said, I just got over a round of antibiotics and had to do very simple foods for a while after taking them. Antibiotics mess up my gut. Oh, you telling me? This happened to me a year ago, or no, it'll be last February, less than a year ago. So they don't know still, because there's a lot they don't know about gut health. So they have no way to know for sure whether it was the virus I caught that attacked my microbiome, or if it was the antibiotics I had to take for the virus that messed up my microbiome, or a combination of both. So there's a lot of guesstimating going on all the way around there. Anyway, so I'm going to wash my hands. If you will hold on 2 seconds, I'll be right back, and we'll prick fingers again just to see what's going on there. Any questions about any of this and how it works? It didn't seem painful or like a big deal to you when I did it, right? Suzanne said yes to gluten being everywhere. I had a serious illness that was exacerbated by gluten intake, and we stopped going out to eat for a while. Yeah, it's tough to dine out if you're gluten-free. Luckily, I don't have that problem, so it doesn't give me any issues. Like if it's just steak seasoning or something like that, it's not a big deal. But for people that are, that's important. Here's the thing, though. Know yourself. Start to really listen to your body. Stop dieting and start really focusing on the goal of being the happiest, healthiest version of yourself. Start listening to your body and discovering your bio-individuality. That's why we do this testing, so you can see how things affect you. You can know what your baseline levels are. You can know if you wake up with elevated blood sugar. You can know all kinds of interesting things about yourself. Are you sensitive to dairy? Don't just go dairy-free because it's trendy or because you think it might be the problem. I was really kind of worried it was my problem, but it wasn't. The funny thing is I could eat all the dairy I wanted, but I couldn't eat broccoli or salad. No lettuce. So any vegetable, I would have an amazingly horrific flare-up for a long time. I'm healing. My gut is healing now, so I can tolerate vegetables. I still have a minor flare-up, but it's nothing like the excruciating pain I was in 6, 7, 8 months ago. So the weird thing is I could eat keto ice cream, which was made with eggs and heavy cream and all that kind of stuff, but I couldn't eat broccoli. Who would have thought, right? Because you would cut out all the other stuff, but I was literally down to plain meat. And so when I was able to eat that ice cream, I would have that for dinner sometimes because I was kind of sick of meat. The other thing I could eat and tolerate was these perfect keto bars. I got us 20% off on those, by the way. That's good until tomorrow. So I would have the perfect keto bars. Because I could eat those, I could eat ice cream, and I could eat plain meat. And then I tested where I was able to eat a sweet potato, which was good to be able to get some nutrition and vitamins in, and to have something besides wings and steak and blah, blah, blah. So it was nice to be able to have some variety and still maintain nutritional ketosis. All right, let me know if you have any questions. I'm just going to wash my hands super quick. We'll prick finger again, and then we'll wrap it up for the night. So I'll be right back. All right, so important things when you're doing this testing that I didn't think to tell you a minute ago. Number one is when you're testing for yourself, you don't have to do 6-day clean tests. You'll know if ChocZero spikes your blood sugar within, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. The reason I do 6-day clean test is because doing it publicly, I feel like I have this huge responsibility to make sure I'm not diluting the results. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you're testing for yourself, your blood sugar will spike within 30, 60, 90 minutes. So you don't have to worry about that. The ChocZero syrups tested fine for me, Jennifer. I have tested them before. But I don't want to mix them into these results because both have the exact same ingredients. But yeah, I have no trouble with ChocZero syrups either, so I've been pretty impressed with those. So just to say, you don't have to be as crazy as I am about the 6-day testing. The reason I do that is because I don't want to tell you guys ChocZero is bad when in fact it's totally fine and I just didn't do the test right. Melanie said, thank you so much for graciously taking the time to make this live video. I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it too. I've enjoyed you guys. I've enjoyed your company. That's been really nice. The other thing is when you test, you want to wash your hands in hot water. You want to use antibacterial soap and do not dry your hands on a regular towel. Regular towels they might have like oils on them. They might have some where you wiped your hands on something else. They can hold bacteria. Other things that might get on your skin that will mess up your test results. So use a clean paper towel. Usually I use alcohol wipes also, but I don't have them in here with me. Suzanne said, the fact that you do such rigorous testing is amazing. I feel like it's one service I can do for you guys. That's, really helpful because I've ruled out a lot of products. And I've ruled out products that I didn't tell you about because I felt like it was a me thing, a bioindividuality thing. And then I discovered I have a bad reaction to, let's go ahead and test here. I have a bad reaction to chicory root fiber. It makes me extremely lethargic. I get very bloated. It's like I'm instantly 4 months pregnant. I have to go straight to bed and it makes my stomach hurt. I discovered, though, I didn't know that's what the problem was, but I discovered I'm not the only person. Watch this in case you missed it before. This is not a big deal. It doesn't hurt or anything. At first, I was scared to death of it, but it's not a big deal. So that was the finger prick. Wasn't bad. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying. So the thing, what was I saying about I lost my train of thought. The testing, you want to be really cautious with handling other things. If you let's say you grab your coffee mug and it has a little bit of coconut oil on it or something like that, then it's going to skew your results. It's going to give you false positives or false negatives. chicory root. Oh, that's where I was. So I was talking about chicory root fiber. So I have, all right, so my ketone levels are 0.7, which is only, it was 0.6 earlier when I tested it before the ChocZero. So it didn't affect them at all. They're still in the same range. Chicory root fiber causes me severe digestive distress. It makes me extremely lethargic. It makes me bloated. And I thought first it was the product itself until I tried something else, like at 3 different products. And then I did some research and discovered a lot of people have that reaction to chicory root. It's in Rebel Creamery ice cream. I think it's in Keto Pint. It's in almost all of the ice creams that are on store shelves. It's in a lot of keto bars. It's in a lot of keto products. And it's in Dang bars. Anybody ever tried Dang bars? They're like every health food religion. They are vegan, keto, diabetic friendly, low carb, like they're, all that stuff. I looked at the ingredients and I thought that all sounds good. Chicory root even sounded good. It's an all natural thing, right? I'm getting tired and my battery's getting low, so we're gonna shut this down in a minute. Anyway, so the thing I was saying, so I had a really bad reaction to it, but I discovered that's actually really common. So the Dang bars, I had a super bad reaction to, but I don't know if that was just a me thing or if that was something to do with a variety of the different ingredients or something like that. But I immediately had acid reflux to the point so bad that I got thrush. And then my guts were messed up. I ended up on medication. I went through $300 worth of prescriptions before I started to get straightened out after those. But that could have just been a me thing. So that wasn't a public review I wanted to write without knowing for sure, which of the ingredients it could have been. I don't think I got this in there right. Anyway, but anyone else test the Dang bars? For some reason, my reading's not working right on this. My ketone levels were fine, but for some reason I'm getting a thing, but I might be because I'm distracted. Oh, my discount code for ChocZero is traveling low carb. So there is a link in the description of this video. Let me see if I can type while we're sitting here. Whoa, what? To Suzanne. So the discount code is traveling low carb. I'm trying to type it while I talk. Anyway, yeah, chicory root fiber killed me. It was an awful experience. Did that come through? Did you guys see that comment? Yeah. All right, so there it is. The discount code is traveling low carb, and it's in the description of this video too, as well as the 15% off discount link for my Keto Mojo. So yeah, the interesting thing about that with the Dang bars is I like them. They tasted so good, and so here's the mistake that I made and the problem that I had. So if I was having a specific problem with them, this was a company that said, "Hey, we think you're really going to like these. We'd like you to test them out, etc." Yeah, it was bad, Suzanne. It was bad, and I was ready to love them, right? And because I liked the ingredients, I liked all the packaging was pretty. They had a lot of really good flavors. And I was in a hurry because I had to go to Raleigh, North Carolina, and they had a variety of flavors. So instead of eating 3 bars, I ate like 2 bites off of each of 3 flavors. So there could have been different ingredients in the blueberry one than there was in the other flavor or whatever. There could have been different ingredients, right? They were all delicious. I loved the taste. I loved the texture, but immediately got this acid reflux. I got this thrush, and then whatever digestive problem was in my upper stomach causing the acid, continued to go down through my digestive system, and it was a snowball bad event in effect. They had chicory root fiber though, but something else in addition to how chicory root fiber makes me feel. But it could have been a combination of ingredients, not just one ingredient, but it wasn't a clean test because I tried 3 of their different flavors, which could have had different ingredients. So I never did. And so somebody says to me, well, you should test them again. And I was like, oh, I don't think I'm in the mood to go through all that again. It was so miserable. Jennifer said, what flavor of ChocZero syrup tastes good? I'm trying to pick one. Oh my gosh. They're maple, is it maple pecan syrup? It's the maple syrup. That if you want a pancake syrup, it's thick. So you just need a drizzle. It's so good. The chocolate syrup is amazing if you have things you would like a little drizzle of chocolate syrup on. You literally don't need more than a serving. Like, it's so rich and so good. They used to have a raspberry and a vanilla and a peppermint, but they don't carry the peppermint anymore. The vanilla I like on berries. They're vanilla syrup. So you take like raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries, and in moderation, and I weighed them on my little kitchen scale here, which I linked to in my blog post that I did today. And you just drizzle a little bit of that vanilla ChocZero syrup over those berries. Oh my gosh. That's like the best dessert ever. Just berries and just a little drizzle of that. Also, the thing I'll tell you guys, how many of you guys have some ChocZero syrup in your house? They've come in all kinds of flavors before. So I've had like raspberry, peppermint, different flavors, whatever. If you put them in a little candy mold and put them in the refrigerator, they come out like taffy. So good. Like chewy taffy. It's so, so good. Or maybe that was in the freezer. Maybe I put them in the freezer and took them out. Sharon said, thanks, learned new stuff, wishing you peace and good health in the coming year. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. I'm excited about 2020. You guys pumped? Are you ready to go? We are going to close this out. My ketone levels are still looking good. ChocZero has passed the test. I was trying to do another blood sugar reading, but for some reason I didn't do it right. That's not usually the case. It's because I'm trying to talk and do it at the same time, so I'm all distracted. Any other questions or comments? Because it is getting late, and I have had a very full day, and I still need to maybe make some eggs. I enjoyed it, you guys. I did put a new blog post up on travelinglowcarb.com about getting prepared for the challenge coming up, etc. So I would love to hear what you guys, have to say about that. Any questions you have about that, anything you would like to see in this upcoming challenge, etc. Melanie said you're poking yourself a lot. I know, because I was talking at the same time, but I've got something on my finger, so I'm messing it up. But you can see that it doesn't hurt. Like, it's not a big deal. It's not like, it's not like, I don't want to do it. It's really easy to do. Jennifer said, I appreciate all your answers to my questions. I appreciate you guys joining in and keeping me company tonight. It was nice. But I do have to go. I still have a lot of stuff to get done, and it's really busy year end with my consulting business. This time of year is really super busy. So I'm going to go make a decaf bedtime coffee and get ready to get up early in the morning and start outlining our 2020 challenge. Oh, Suzanne said you mentioned a bread that you made. Is there a recipe on your blog? Yes, I'll come back and give you the link there in the text chat in the comments of this Facebook after I get done because it's really good. I make it with a nut butter that I buy, but you can make it with any good soft nut butter like peely nut butter, macadamia nut butter, or cashew nut butter. All right. Deborah said, thanks for all you do for our keto family. I enjoyed it. Thanks for sticking it out with me for this long. We had quite a good time. I think we have been hanging out for a couple of hours now. So good night to you guys, or good morning if you're watching this later, or what have you. And I will see you back on the blog at travelinglowcarb.com or back in the group at 90daylowcarbchallenge.com. If you have any questions or you're watching the replay, drop your question. If you have any more questions, come back and leave your question, and I will join you guys back here in the comments, and we'll continue the discussion there after I get a good night's sleep. All right, have a good one. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for all the great questions. What a fun discussion.